Good morning from Sharm el Sheikh at the southern edge of the Sinai desert. Here you can see the aforementioned desert. Here you've got the water, and there you've got the city. You see there's a Muslim masjid, there's a Christian church, and I think it's fair to say, I am the rabbi of not just Sharm el Sheikh, but at the moment, the country of Egypt. That's right, I'm the chief rabbi of Egypt at the moment. Easy to do when you're the only Jew in Egypt. Anyways, this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful land. I want to talk a little bit about Allah, specifically the Jewish version of Allah, Yehovah. He gets a bad rap. He's called God the Father. He's considered to be an Old Testament deity of punishment. Not the case. The Old Testament is written by many people over many time periods in many different societies. And what Isaiah makes abundantly clear is that a misreading of Yehovah is as a punisher. In reality, when things are not good, it's the absence of Yehovah. It's us not following in Yehovah's way. The absence of Yehovah is itself punishment. Yehovah says, I will punish you is really, I will remove myself from your protection. I will remove myself from your life. Again, Isaiah is not the only one to make that clear. Even Moses makes it clear. But it's unfortunate that we humans even need these words whatsoever. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have words to confuse us, words to confound each other with. But we do, and they've been canonized, so there we are. This is Yehovah's world. This fresh air, this beautiful sky, this gorgeous sea behind me, the gorgeous desert, sight, the phone, the ability to communicate with you here, it's all Yehovah. It's all the goodness of Yehovah. It's hard for us to see that in our world because we are following the pharaonic system. We are following the pharaonic system. I've mentioned this in a few videos, but most importantly, check my Substack. That's ydydY.substack.com. ydydY.substack.com, where I explain it in greater depth, but we only have a small amount of time here, so let's stick with this. The world that we have today is one of the civilization that we have today is one that's all about work. It's one that's all about slavery. And if Yehovahism is anything, it's freedom. Yehovahism isn't that distinct from atheism. Yehovahism is closer to atheism than it is to most versions of religion. The Bible is, at least the 5 books of Moses specifically are, first and foremost a rejection of Egypt's way, of Egypt's system, Egypt's pyramid scheme, Egypt's promise of afterlife eternal if you just do all the Pharaoh's wishes in this world. The 5 books of Moses don't even really mention an afterlife. It's debatable if they mention an afterlife whatsoever. It's focused on not believing in false deities. Why not then get rid of all deities? Because then you'll end up with something like certain philosophies that have existed throughout history of negative nihilism. Of, hey, if there's no gods and afterlife and whatever, then kill yourself. Zechariah makes it clear, Emes v'hashalom ahavu, the truth and the goodness you will love. If it's goodness that isn't true, it's not Yehovah. If it's truth that isn't good, it's not Yehovah. The goodness and the truth. Yehovah is defined by 2 things. He defines himself in 2 ways. The very first beginning of the Bible, the very first verse of the Bible, Bereshis bara Elohim es hashamayim ve'es ha'aretz. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, the creator. And then literally, when 600,000 people, or at least 600,000 men between 20 and 60, plus women, plus older people, younger people, all had the same realization here in Sinai, not far from where I am today. We don't know the exact location. There are people who think they do know the exact location, but I don't know how correct that is. But in any case, I'm going to be exploring the area in general, of course, God willing. They had that same realization. Anochi Yehovah Elohecha asher hotzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeis avodim. I am Yehovah, your Elohim, who took you out of the land of Egypt from the house of slaves. In the Haggadah, in the Passover Seder, we still say to this day that we are still today slaves. Slavery in Egypt wasn't so terrible. You got paid. The Jews were very clear about it in the Bible. They say, hey, we even had watermelon, we even had all the spices, we had great breads, we had fish, we had meat. It wasn't very different from what we have today. It was employment. It wasn't slavery where you can literally kill anybody you want at any time. Occasionally, of course, pharaohs went a little bit overboard and decided that they could, impose such things, but in general, they didn't. Yehovah is the Yehovah of personal freedom. Now, of course, the Bible has to explain how society has to function as well. We can't get into a whole huge explanation of the Bible at this point. But we do have to point out that from the beginning, from Adam, and of course, there wasn't an original creation of the world precisely 5,949 years ago, but the Bible's story of Adam, which is obviously at least partly metaphorical, to what degree is a whole separate subject, begins 5,949 years ago. And the Bible makes clear every 50 years there should be a reset. Every 50 years, everybody goes free. All contracts cease to exist. All credit scores are equated. Everybody gets back whatever they or their parents lost. Everybody whose parents or themselves made a fortune has to give it back. There's a reset for society. And to make it work, there's a 1-year Sabbath. A complete and total Jubilee Sabbath. And then later prophecies, some of which are not recorded even in the Bible, but were passed down. I got flies around here, thank God. And were passed around otherwise through Jewish tradition, have it there's going to be exactly 120 Jubilees. The last Jubilee is the last one, after which Lord only knows what takes place. There's no way for us to guess. That takes place in 51 years. But the last reset, the last 50 years civilizational period, begins in 1 year and 5 months. In 5 months begins that Jubilee year. I'm not making any kind of prediction, any kind of prophetic promise about what's going to take place. This is a very human thing. For those people who regard the Bible or Yahweh as some kind of magic, as some kind of magic abracadabra words or things that you hold up and that's closer to idolatry than anything that Yahwehism was intended to be or claims to be. Whether in the Bible, whether among the rabbis, whether up to Maimonides. Maimonides, the last great all-inclusive rabbi who explained it all. And this Jubilee is coming up in 5 months. So I'm trying to set up a Jubilee social. Right now on Substack, ydydy.substack.com, we have, and by the way, I should acknowledge that right now for some reason there are flies crawling all over me. I don't know exactly why it is, but whatever, flies exist for whatever reason they exist. Mark Twain, by the way, had an unbelievable little thing that he wrote called Letters from the Earth, about Satan writing letters back to the other children of God up in heaven. And Mark Twain, of course, had the version of religion and of God that most of us have, as basically this all-seeing thing that somehow does all kinds of terrible stuff. And he has a bit there about the flies, that Noah made sure to take the flies on board because of all the diseases they could carry. It's the most scathing anti-religious thing you could ever read. I read it on the radio. The whole thing, Letters from the Earth. It's beautiful, it's brilliant, it's unbelievable. And it speaks to the negativeness of the conception of God that unfortunately so many of us still have, which is not the case of God. It is not the case of any kind of God that's worthy of adoring, that's worthy of holding high. Not one that I would like myself to hold high, or that I encourage anyone else to. So I bless the flies. I'm sure they have their purpose, and I'm pleased that they're around. So this, in 5 months, I'm trying to set up this Jubilee Social, a social network which will be very different from the other social networks. You can watch my other videos, check my Substack for the sort of morals in general, approximate morals that are very, very different from the current morals of society for how we're going to run this kind of thing. But the goal is for everybody who's a member. Right now we have 9 members. True, it costs $36 a month to be a member. We could lower the price, whatever. That's not really the issue. It's most important to get people on board. If it's a price issue, let me know. We can give you a lower price. If you can afford more, give more. This thing is not that easy to run. And trust me, we need the money. The point is for everybody to be able, come this coming Yom Kippur, October 12th, when the 119th Jubilee, the penultimate Jubilee begins, for everybody who's on board to be as ready as possible to spend that year not earning, not accepting any money whatsoever. Having what they expect they'll need for that year, having whatever relationships they need to be taken care of beforehand, whatever physical, medical issues, whatever financial requirements, whatever other sort of jobs to put on hold. For that year, no earning. For that year, exploring without cares, without concerns, totally carefree, internally, externally, socially, gathering, God willing, in Jerusalem 3 times, at least once. A major, major gathering of people. Of course, for this, we're going to also have to bring peace to the Middle East, which I'm working on, like I said. Check out the Substack, check out the other videos. And this is going to be glorious. Please join me. You're required in terms of having to make this glorious. I need you to do it. I can't do anything on my own. I don't got those abracadabra powers. Nobody does. It's us. May Yehovah bless you.